Don't you know drugs are everywhere, drugs are everywhere, drugs are everywhere, you can't stop it. Women like to make a puff and a pull, and so it's the ones of the day. Drugs are everywhere, drugs are everywhere, drugs are everywhere. Hey, drugs are indeed everywhere. This is Murph. I'm a former heroin addict, current alcoholic, and you're tuned in to Self-Medicated Weekly Dose, a podcast all about drugs and the people who use them. As always, this program is inspired by the harm reduction movement, informed by my personal experience using all sorts of drugs for damn near 30 years, and enlightened by my special guests. And today, I've got a special guest, explosive even, on the program here. She's a comedian, clown, and Latin music artist. You've seen her in the Coen Brothers film Hail Caesar, Steven Soderbergh's film The Laundromat, on a bunch of television programs, and of course, the greatest web series of all time, Life's Great. Please welcome to the program, Veronica Osorio, a.k.a. Cherry V. Yeah. Hot crowd.
Wow,
hey, buddy.
Yeah, they're amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, well, they're here
How
for
are
you. Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
doing good.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for joining us. What's been new? So, you know, we came up together in the old UCB community there in New York. We've known each other a while, but I haven't seen you. Been watching your Cherry V's work from afar, which is phenomenal. So tell the listeners just a little bit about that, because you're a wonderful comedian, actress, but now you've launched into a music career that we're all following. So what's going on?
Yes. So first of all, great to see you. Thank you for having me. I love this. This perfect podcast for me this week, and we'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Okay.
No, just Cherry V. I got together with some rappers from Venezuela. Actually, the grandfather / father of rapping in Venezuela, like the dude.
Oh, hell yeah.
Was like, hey, you can really you can do this. Like, you could do this if you were get to, if you just got to it. And I was like, oh shit, if you want to fucking throw some beats at me, I'll do it. No shade. I did a track in 2009 with Childish Gambino, which is a little known fact about me.
I did not know that. That's legit.
I know, but we were hanging out. I don't know. He was just packing his house to move to LA, and we had just met, but we vibe immediately. Yeah, just it's good buddy,
Yep.
Vibes. And he was I don't know, we were walking and he's like, hey, do you rap? And I'm like, no, but give me 10 minutes.
But
I'll give you this. I'll spit some bars now.
Yes.
Because in Venezuela, I used to do this improv show called Improvisto. And so one of our genres for improv was musical. And so I was frequently rapping whatever bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, in Spanish, I can rhyme easy. And then I had shown him a track that I composed that was crazy. And yeah, he just got to creating the beat, and I just jumped on it, and it sounds like a trap, but in 2009. So it's the
throwback trap.
Precursor. Yeah. And then I showed that to my rapper friend. It's in the Childish Gambino mixtapes. So it's called I'm Crazy featuring Cherry. And then at the time, I was he's like, how you want to be credited? And I was like, Cherry. It's funny because that's 2009 and up until 2021, I didn't use Cherry again. I didn't go by Cherry. And suddenly in 2021, I was like, wait.
Time to resurrect Cherry.
I had done this. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you got that credit under Cherry. You might as well bring that.
Yeah. And Cherry is my clown name, from Venezuela. I was in the circus in Venezuela. So Cherry's been my alter ego for a long time.
Amazing.
And I had pink hair back then. All my, when I was in the circus, all my clothes were pink, and my juggling pins were pink, and my juggling balls and all my circus artifacts, all pink. Everything was pink.
Yes.
Which is funny because I was not that kind of child, but I don't know. And so he started sending me some beats, and we started actually seriously producing some tracks together. And then I honestly think my demographic is all of my friends' moms, because because they all call me, or maybe those are the only generation that calls.
Yeah,
because they're
for sure. Yeah, everyone else is hitting you up on social. No, the moms are calling.
Yeah, the moms are calling, being like, "I can't get your song out of my head. What have you done to me?"
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right, this is good. I'm gonna continue." So yeah, I'm about to release a track. I think April 13th. Called "It's My Life," and it's all in Spanish. Well, Spanglish. Everything Spanish is Spanglish.
Sure.
That's just how it is. It's like the cool thing to do in trap. You know, you're like, "No vamos para party." You know, like it's always like party body and
party. Yeah, party bodies. Yeah, you pick up. Yeah, the English speaking ear picks up. Yeah, I heard body and party. I'm there. I don't need to know what else is going on.
Yeah, I hear a beat and I hear,
Yep.
a Bad Bunny saying party. So let's go.
All right. Well, listen, let's dive into some segments that we have here.
Okay.
Veronica, we've got a jam-packed show. We're going to start things off with a little number called the Substance Report.
This is the question. Do junkies' lives matter?
The mainstream media's coverage on substance use has always been trash. So what I like to do is pull some topical drug-related stories in the news and give them some proper coverage here on the Weekly Dose. So this headline here I pulled from Variety. This one it says, "Smoking still hogs the spotlight at the Oscars." So basically what they're saying here is among the this year's Academy Award nominations, a stunning 9 of the 10 nominees for Best Picture show tobacco use on screen, including PG-13 related films, Elvis, The Fabelmans, Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking. In total, of the 39 nominated films, 28 of them feature tobacco in some fashion. That's more than 70% of all nominees and 5 more movies than last year, trending in the wrong direction. So, okay, so the drug here, of course, is a little nicotine, tobacco use. I don't know if you smoke, Veronica, as a singer, a rapper, an artist. I don't know. You protect your instrument. I was a smoker for many, many years. I was
a smoker for many years as well.
Yeah. What do you think about in movies? Are you smoking in your movies often? Are you smoking on?
Can I tell you? I just think it's like a crutch. Like they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this character, so let's just like puff puff."
Smoke.
Because it's like I don't know what to how to hand act or something. So I'm gonna smoke.
Yes.
Like I just feel like you can show like a character's like anxiety or coolness or whatever it is that's underlying in many different ways. But I think specifically in movies, it's like, oh, it kind of looks good. The smoke, it just seems like
it's a crutch for like, yeah, it is. You're right. For writers for sure and directors, I think. It's a throwback to kind of old Hollywood. It's also, what's funny is not that we look to movies to be realistic by any stretch of the imagination, but it is funny that at least back in the day, it was like everyone was smoking. But now it feels like some of these characters, I'm like, they just wouldn't be smokers. Like some of them would, but it's, and certainly my family and I think in more, poor and working communities, they certainly still smoke. But some of these people playing rich I'm like, they wouldn't be smoking. Rich people just don't smoke anymore really as much. I don't think.
Yeah.
As much as they're showing. Like, try to go to New York, LA. Like, you can't smoke within fucking 100 yards of a bar or a restaurant.
I don't know who smokes nowadays. I know my husband Jose smokes, and occasionally, he smokes quite a bit. We just don't live together right now, so I don't know how frequently he smokes.
Right.
And during the pandemic, he I don't know if he smoked and when.
I started
I just don't
smoking
care.
again during the pandemic, which is funny. I'd smoked for about 10 years or more, and I stopped, and then I started smoking. I was like, well, if there's a virus out there going around, I better just start chain smoking again.
Funny. I started smoking in LA. I liked this guy and he started smoking and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this now." And I just started smoking. And then once I bought a pack of cigarettes in 2016, I was like, what am I doing? This is so stupid. I already overcame this. As in, once I stopped smoking I smoked for 10 years. And once I stopped, I was like, my budget is better. And also I don't have to be worried about where do I find a cigarette? It's just this that little search that is not enticing to me anymore as a personality trait. But, in films, I just think it's just being like, oh,
This is cool.
I think it's just fucking lame.
Yeah,
it's lame.
It is.
Like, although, and then I have a scene in my film where I do smoke a cigarette. Mm-hmm. And it's because I'm chatting with my mom, and the actress who plays my mom brought some cigarettes. She wanted to smoke. But we're also this is a scene where like that happens in like the early 90s, So it's me as a grown-up facing my mom my age, in this surreal setting. And she starts smoking, so I mirror her. Like all I wanted to do is like, I didn't even care about my character smoking. It was more about like me mirroring whatever she was doing. So I guess like can be justified.
It can, well, of course. Like, I mean, if it's your movie, you can absolutely justify it.
Yeah, shut the fuck.
No, but I know what you mean. I think in some of these movies, it is obviously there's a ton of them here that they were having it. So maybe some of the period pieces. Like what's funny too, though, is what I will say is this dude who wrote this article, this guest piece. It's one of the truthers, not the 9/11 truthers. No, one of the truth movement or something, that's anti-tobacco thing. But like, so I it's funny that you like kind of what you would attack about these movies. Like as far as Top Gun Maverick being, attacked for the smoking in there is where I would say more like, I don't know, the forever wars, the imperialism abroad with like, at this point, they don't even name the countries. Like I don't know if you saw Top Gun Maverick, but they're like, he's going off this mission. They don't even really, they're like, it's just over there in some Middle Eastern country. We're not even going to say where it is. But I feel like, the Pentagon propaganda might be more of a concern to me than the smoking of the characters.
Oh
but
my God. Absolutely. Yes. I've also auditioned for shows that are like that. Like they just look like a propaganda, like a Republican propaganda.
Yeah.
TV shows, those military ones. And I'm like, well, maybe there's a good part in here somewhere, but I'm more concerned about that than like seeing anyone smoke on screen.
Smoking. Yeah. The network procedurals are famous for that too. Like cops smoking stuff. I'm like, enough of the propaganda. Whether they smoke, they don't smoke. Like Columbo, old school trench coat with the little cigar smoking. Like, right. I'm less concerned with the tobacco use than the messaging that's being thrown around in there.
Now, if I party hard, I will sometimes be like, you're gonna have a cigarette.
Well, sure. I mean, certain drugs, I would say require cigarettes, at least in my brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I don't like. I mean, I'll get a pack if I'm going on a psychedelic journey. I get myself a pack of cigarettes. That's like, and I can tell myself during that time frame when I'm in that mindset. Then I'm smoking then, but I don't. When I'm coming down the next day, I'm like I try. I mean, I'm hard because I go hard. So cigarettes, if I have one, I'll smoke a pack if I have it. So I gotta. I'm a binger. I'm definitely a binger. So I gotta watch with that.
Yeah, I'm a binger, but I also like. I've reached some limits that I'm like, if they burn me, like if I'm like, this sucked, like I won't do it again. I am like, I can be trained to like stop, but it took me years. Like, I'm a binger. Sure. I'm like end up at the hospital binger.
Like, you're untouchable too, as a young person, it's just like, I'm never going to die. But then you get to hit 40 and everything starts to catch up to you and you're like, it is an actual cliff. Like I feel like physically I hit 40 and I went right the fuck off. I'm like, I got to just do something here. I got to slow down either the drinking, the smoking, the amphetamines, the shit food, the garbage food I eat. Like something's got to give here or else I'm not long for this world. Maybe it's having a kid. I don't know. But you start to think about these things, Veronica.
Right. No, I hear you. I am two people with these things. So January 3rd, I came back from Austin. I was with my family. I drank all of the champagne available in Austin, just all of it. And my uncles drank all of the whiskey available. And my mom drank all of the wine that in existence. So it was just like, and I was the one who was drinking the least. I'm the designated driver. Right. So, and I'm just like, glug, glug, glug.
Well, sure. I love the designated driver's got to drink the least. As long as you're drinking the least, I mean, no one's got to be sober in this situation. I get it. No one's got to be sober. But you got to at least be like, hey, if I'm DD in it, I got to be at least behind everybody that's in the back seat.
Right. I'm just like, at drink number 2, both my mom and I look at each other and I'm like, me, you, and she's like, you. You.
You're like, all right. So one more and then I'm done.
So I don't have 4, like it's fine. So I got here on January 3rd and I became this like fully sober, no alcohol, no marijuana, no amphetamines, nothing. Boom. And then just this week, I drank a little bit of wine, and then it's just the binging monster because I am a binger. So it's little gateway, like, oh, it's and then now I'm like, I have marijuana all around my house, but haven't been using it all these months. So I'm like, maybe I'll smoke today. And now I'm like, went to Tijuana to get drugs, like suddenly you're in Tijuana.
Next thing you know, you're in Tijuana and now it's party time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I feel, so there's that suddenly sober side of me. And then at some point I know the other one will come up and she'll do what she does. And then I'll go back, So hopefully, but it's like long spells where like 6 months and everyone's like, oh, you're so boring. Like you don't drink, you don't smoke. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to. And then,
I think that's also like a great model. I mean, if you're not going to try to commit to the full abstinence, which, I was never really on the table for me. I feel like that, that model of like, well, I'm saving myself. It's almost like you recharge, you take 6 months off, then you go hard for 6, off 6, hard. It's just, you can't go hard all the time. It's just, it really, it hits you. It catches up to you. So I feel like 6 months on, 6 months off, or even 6 months off and then 1 month on, whatever your routine is. I think you're doing yourself a favor in the long run.
You just give your organs a little break. Cause like additionally to like liking all these drugs and like that, I also have been on this health journey of like understanding, like I went into like traditional medicine teachings like Qigong, and I learned a lot about like the meridians and like there's 5 organs in the body. So like 5 main things. So the liver is always it's easy for it to have high toxicity. You need to do liver detox. And then your kidneys are like, the way they were explained to me was like, you're the ancient grandma, like they have the ancient knowledge of like your entire body. So you need to give your kidneys like a little breather so that they can like inform the entire body, like what's going on, stuff like that. So I'm a fan of those things because it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I love a good binge.
Well, sure. In that model of that beautiful model of East, which is certainly outside the boundaries of Western medicine, I would say. But in that model where you kind of look at things holistically like that, I would say I've treated my liver like a little brother. I've just had him in a noogie for years, and I'm just like pummeling him. I'm like, submit. So I need to treat my liver more like a grandmother, maybe, or
like a grandma,
or a respected aunt or something. Yes, instead of a little brother, I think I need to do that. That's good advice.
Or like you can balance it out with like liver friendly foods, and then there's like whatever. It's a whole rabbit hole, but like there's like liver hours. So like people, this is a little known fact. I'm gonna get a little, but please. Supposedly we're supposed to be woken up at 5 a.m. needing to poop. That is what realistically a healthy body should be doing. No one is doing that. No one is there at this point. But
no.
Yeah,
I'm at like 2 a.m. before I've gone to bed trying to just aggressively wrestle one out. Like I'm not on any sort of good clock at all. Those terrible meat shits are like, last thing before I'm like, I got to get this out before I go to bed. That seems like the opposite of what you're saying. Yes.
Right. Yeah, this one you're supposed to. So that's like a reflective of like a healthy intestine. So there are ways to know like, so yeah, drugs, like my doctor just said, I don't like you doing marijuana so much because it makes your liver angry. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But like the rest of me feels.
It's happy. So can we negotiate? Peaceful. Is my liver open to negotiation at this point?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The rest of my body wants to talk to my liver, especially when I'm watching like shitty Netflix. I'm like, I need this to be good, regardless of what it is. So I need to tell my liver, I gotta get high here. if you want me to watch
Yeah.
Love is Blind season 3, I need to get high as fuck.
Yeah, maybe you can just like eat a liver-friendly food while you're also making it angry.
There we
Appease
go.
him
That's a
somehow.
good trade-off. That's fair.
I guess.
Well, yeah, I think, I mean, listen, I don't know what, I don't need to date. I never try to date my guests, but I do like to offer up for my own age. I'm a child of the 80s, which I believe was one of the heydays for anti-drug PSAs. You know, there's a lot of these great ones in the 80s, the Just Say No era. And when I was growing up, I always thought that PSA stood for propaganda, stigma, and ALF.
Losers are users, so don't use drugs. Don't use drugs. Ah!
Turns out it's a public service announcement, Veronica. That's what PSA actually means. But God bless ALF. But there's a lot of propaganda and stigma in these things. I
remember. I'm also a child of the 80s. I remember that shit. It
Sure.
was like it's so funny because you're a child and you feel like you're being programmed and something is off. You're like,
something is
hey.
off. You're right. I even feel that's right. I felt that. I didn't know what exactly it was, but yes, even when I was young and I watched this shit, I was kind of like, they're aggressively trying to tell me something. I don't know if it's true. Doesn't sound like it's entirely true.
Like
And
you're telling me what to do. Like,
Yes. Even on a basic level, you're like, I don't know why you're just telling me how to live my life. But also, yeah, I'm like, I already have my, if my parents or any authority figures, teachers, I didn't take too well to people, bossing me around. But aside from that, then you start to learn a little bit as you get a little older. Every bit of information, it's like, parents telling you Santa Claus is a real thing. Like as soon as you know that that's bullshit, you're like, oh, what else are these people, lying to me about? It takes the trust away. So as soon as you realize, oh, marijuana is not, as harmful as they're saying it is. It's not, the reefer madness stuff falls away. And you're like, they just went so overboard instead of being realistic about, there's trade-offs like we were just talking about. There's trade-offs with shit. So booze, there's going to be problems with the liver if you drink too heavily for too long. Instead of giving us the scientific evidence-based information that we could at least do with it what we will, they go for the fear-mongering and the propaganda, which then just falls apart where anything they're trying to tell us just is now bullshit. And I pulled this one here this week. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. And I've been holding on to it. And I was like, I think Veronica will appreciate the strangeness of this. This is a magician. This is also from the 70s, to be fair. I dated myself. The 80s were great, but there were a few in the 70s that were fun. This one goes back all the way back to 1977. And this one is about a musician, and there's some children in a schoolyard. And this magician, this magic man, mystery magic man, is trying to sell these kids drugs, but he's doing a little close-up magic, sleight of hand stuff as he presents them with his drugs to sell. But there's also a precocious kid in here who's got something to a little pushback. This kid's very, very informed, he thinks. So let's take a look at the struggle here in this one.
Hey, kiddies, gather round. The man with the goodies is here. Here's a little beauty for me to Udy. Just inhale and sniff. It is aeroplane glue. Oh, one whiff, man, and
Isn't it true that sniffing glue can damage your liver and kidneys?
Cool it, kid. Looky. Amphetamines, bennies, dexies, meth.
They say amphetamines can cause something like schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia. In most cases, it does not last. Cool it, kid. Now for the barbs. Neato, nice, easy downers.
Withdrawal from barbiturates can cause
Will
convulsions.
you convulse yourself out of here? Grass. Anything wrong with pot?
They're not sure yet. They just started studying about it.
Worrywart. Dig, everybody. LSD.
Bad trips and a chance of chromosome damage.
How do you know you got
Everything you
chromosomes?
got there can hurt you, can't it?
Sure, kid. Why do you think they call it dope? Hey, where's everybody going?
Okay. So there's a few things about that spot that are fun. Great sleight of hand work. Whoever that magician was. He did
Oh my
solid
God, yes.
He was performing for those kids. He didn't just come and be like, hey, I got drugs. That's enough. He showed up.
Imagine if your drug dealer would do that. Like,
I mean, yes, I wish my drug dealer had sleight of hand tag. I mean, it gives you a little entertainment while you're making a buy. Yeah, no, that's great. If the cops show, anybody shows up quick, you get rid of what you need to.
Right.
It's a great skill. So more drug dealers.
That's a great idea. Like, I mean, I think that PSA has a great idea for drug dealers.
I think it's taught us. That's right. No, it actually, inadvertently, it's taught some drug dealers. It's time to learn some sleight of hand. What's funny about also the fact that he's just selling glue. So airplane glue is like, I'm like, why would you? I mean, you can just get glue at the home. Those kids don't need to. If they want to sniff glue, I don't think that's a great market for you to get into as a drug dealer. Like you can buy glue anywhere. So that's strange that he's trying to seize.
Also, you can, like, I mean, for that one, you would be like, can I tell you a secret? And then you just, like, put it in there. But selling glue does not seem like a drug dealer's good business model. No, it seems foolish.
So that's a rough one. And then there's so then he brings out some pills, the amphetamines, the idea of schizophrenia. Oh no, it's just temporary. So again, that's not true. Yeah, I guess like you could argue like, what does it do to your brain if you were to take amphetamines and not sleep for like months on end? But generally people, it's like, we know the problems associated with certain drugs and doing them all the time in a harmful way. I think we all know the realities of that. And like schizophrenia is a weird one. The chromosomal change with LSD. No, that's nonsense. We know that that's not at all true. So that was a stupid one. The marijuana was funny to hear him go, well, they don't know yet because they're still studying it. So I'm like, so in 1970, now we still hear today, we hear people saying there's not enough research to legalize like on a federal level. We still hear people saying that shit. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are admitting they were at least like, well, we got to study it. There's not enough studies. This was in 1977. Here we are 45 years later.
Also, you can tell, like, oh, so you have been using this excuse for like decades. It's
That's right.
Clearly part of the script. This is your script. Your script is like, oh, we don't know enough.
Just don't know. We just don't know.
Like, it's been decades. We have proof. Change the script.
Yeah.
Say something new.
Yes. As soon as they had to like cave on the legit reefer madness, this idea of like, oh, you'll smoke weed and then you just go out and just rape people and jump out windows. As soon as that had to be like acknowledged, it's like, all right, that was not true. That's not. But they were like, but we don't know. We still can't say we know for sure that this isn't, very harmful. So the jury's out. We'll get back to you. So here we are 45 years later and they're still like, we just don't know. No matter, and we won't take anyone else's research or just anecdotal or anything for into account. So the magician there then moves on, and it's like he's trying the LSD, he's trying some bennies, some other uppers, a lot of different kinds of pills. He's shown to these kids, but this little bugger, this little kid, this little guy, he just won't let him go. And then the guy caves at the end when he's like, these will all hurt you, won't they? He does all this great performance. He's deflecting. He maybe has some of the kids still. He has some attention. It feels like. Even though this little kid, he's like, get scram, kid.
Potential buyers. Yeah.
Potential buyers on the hook. And then at the fucking finish line, he's got all his wares out on the table. He somehow got into a schoolyard. Nobody noticed. Like this guy just waltzed into a schoolyard, the magic man. And then he has him right on the hook. And at the very end, he just soils the sheets. He admits, he says, yeah, why do you think they call it dope? Which I guess he thought was a line he couldn't back pocket. He just had to say it. And then he loses the whole class.
The kids go running. Also, the open picnic table. I guess like that's for kids. I wonder like who designs these PSIs? Like you've been studying them longer. Like clearly you've been researching them. Like
there's a couple of big ad councils. So like they'll get like groups together. One of them was federally funded. I don't know who this one actually is from, but there was one that's like. That was really big, and they paired up in the 80s. They paired with like the great ad agencies. So they brought in your fucking Don Draper, like Mad Men type people. So whatever the I mean, Saatchi and Saatchi's a big one now, but like whatever the big ad agencies of William Morris, all those, they brought them in so that it was like, oh, we have free airtime. So the federally like the government networks were like, we have to give a certain amount of airtime to these for free. So they didn't have to pay for any of these spots in that sense. And then so they got a little bit of money to pay for the production. The ad agencies were like, this is our, give back to the community. So we'll give some. So some of these like coked out ad agents like Don Drapers who were just zooted in the 80s were like, here's some great. What about a fucking magician running around? Like they probably they had some outrageous ideas for these. So I think it all comes down to like ad councils that get together and they're like, oh, we have, federal funding. We get them on TV for free. So we get some celebrities to do them. Like they do some of them with like crossovers with TV shows and shit. So there's a lot of that stuff that you see. But then you just get these great like 30-second spots. Everyone knows remembers the Brain on Drugs egg one, but that's just the tip of the iceberg with these. There are so many.
I did a parody of that.
Yeah, that's just such a simply stupid one that we all remember where it was like, yeah.
Now, I'm curious, have you found like Latin American ones? Like now
no, I need to dive into the global. I have seen a few. There's a great site that has a bunch of them that I've grabbed from that has some international ones. I would love to. Maybe I would get you back on the program. I should have had one for you here, where if I can bring you back on the program, you can kind of translate for us. If you could find it.
I just thought of it. Antidrogas. I don't know. Antidrogas propaganda. Well, I'll find something. If I find something, I will
shoot it over, and I would love to. Yeah, I would love to play it. Antidrogas propaganda. That's fun.
Dile no a las drogas. It was like that.
Yes, that's fun. Yeah, I mean, listen, that was the era of just like nobody cared. Everyone thought kids were stupid. Even teenagers, they're like, they're dumb. They'll believe whatever. We're just going to pound this out there, and it's fun to see how they've aged so poorly, even though they were very awful in the time.
I know.
Only got worse. So yeah, I would love some international, anything you find, Veronica, send over. I would love to play.
Is there a chat here? No, I'll just send you via email. I found one.
Yes.
So there's like the ones they would send us all the time. They would play on TV in Venezuela were from Alianza para una Venezuela sin drogas. So that's like Alliance for a drug-free Venezuela.
There we go.
And
Alliance for a Drug-Free America was literally one of the councils I was talking about. So it's a similar kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So they're international and you don't even know. So yeah, it was like, I remember just like an ad, like 30 seconds and then Alianza para una Venezuela sin drogas. Like,
yes.
You're like, okay.
Wait, and what, so this one you're looking at, is it one, like what were the ones you remember that were, so like This Is Your Brain on Drugs with the egg is obviously one of the most famous ones here, but what was there like one big one that everyone was like, oh shit, that's the spot?
Shit, the entire time that we've been here, I've been just wrecking like my background program,
yes.
Trying to like think of like one. Let me just I don't remember one, but I'm sure that as soon as I see it, I'm gonna know.
You'll be like, yep.
Because it's like it was hammered into our heads. It was not even like it's just like an old lady just like so concerned for her daughter or something, for his son. Let me see. Kids talking to you straight to camera. There's like those like, it looks like noir where there's a lot of shots and like the guy's in some dark stuff and now that his family's sad, stuff like that. Just like horrendous. Let me see. This one's from 1995. I just don't know if you have the capacity to
screen share. I do. Let me see. Let me fiddle.
Here. Right. It's a YouTube.
And here it is. It's a clown.
Cuando las drogas llegan a tu cabeza, este es el efecto.
When drugs get to your head, this is the effect.
Por las drogas.
Do you want to lose your head because of the drugs?
Sin drogas.
Okay. Interesting. And so it was a clown. He blew up a balloon, nice big smiley face balloon, took a huge cartoonish needle, a long needle, and poked it right into the balloon and popped the balloon.
As the narrator says, when the drugs get to your head, it like you lose your head.
You lose your
basically.
Head. All right. I mean, that clown was already unsettling. Like, I love that clown was supposed to be a messenger of the truth and of trying to save kids. I'm like, he already looked like fucking John Wayne Gacy to start that spot. Like, they got a very disturbing looking clown, frankly.
I know. Also, it's like, why, like, who is this clown supposed to represent? Because the guys who are going to sell me drugs are going to look the furthest from that clown. They're just going to be dudes, cool.
That's
just
right.
Probably a little sus, a little like of a dark vibe aura around them, but
you're like, I could see, yeah. No, but they're not clowns. They're definitely not full-on clowns who are, that's like a birthday party child's clown. Again, and you're like, this is not for, like the children, what are teenagers looking at? Like, you know what I mean? Like teenagers don't give a fuck. Teenagers would prank that clown. You know what I mean? A teenager would kick that clown in the ass at the mall and laugh about it. You know what I mean? Like no one. It's a very strange demographic. I'm not sure who that's for.
I know.
But I'm glad to see Venezuela bringing it. I mean, I'm glad to see that there's some fun international
representation matters.
Yes, even in the anti-drug PSA space, it absolutely matters. Love it. Well, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
We got a twofer today in our PSA segment. But Veronica, my listeners may very well, we've learned some stuff today, but I think they want to learn a little bit more about you.
Okay.
And so we're going to slide on into the user's studio. We end our podcast session with a weekly dose version of the questionnaire that was used masterfully for 24 years by the great James Lipton inside the Actors Studio. And the first question is, Veronica Osorio, Cherry V, what is your favorite drug?
I think it's LSD. Microdosing.
LSD. Yes, stunning. Great psychedelic. What is your least favorite drug?
It might be shrooms, honestly.
Oh, this is what the kids call a hot take, I believe. As the movement pushes for psilocybin mushrooms, everyone's gathering around them. Everyone's excited for the legalities and the whatnot. You are a yes to LSD and a no to shrooms. Tell us more.
But I must clarify. I only microdose, and the shrooms seem a little wild to me. And I did some in San Jose del Pacifico in Mexico and Oaxaca that fully, they just threw me into like the abyss. Also, they had dirt on them.
Oh, filthy. The filthy abyss is not where you want to be.
No, it was filthy. They were covered in mud, and I also had like diarrhea for a very long time. You know,
they gave you the trots. This is no good. Well, see, this is a dosage. Do you think a dosage situation, or do you think it was a type of mushroom? What do you think was the problem? Everything
I
at
don't
once.
know. I needed a spiritual purge, I guess. That's what it was.
Sure.
So, I like a good LSD microdose. I love a good shroom microdose. They both winning in my head.
Microdose, yes.
Probably shrooms are better.
Yes.
I know.
No. Listen, I love LSD. I'm an LSD guy. I'm saying it, but generally the people, from what I'm getting from the people, not always what I think. I love LSD. Good LSD is delightful. But I run into the problem of macrodosing often myself. I should look more into microdosing. The macrodosing, sometimes you go to a place that you weren't prepared for.
Right. I just feel like my life, the way I think, is a microdose. It's a macrodose. So my brain is already like, I'm like, help. Don't need to amplify.
That's right. Macro on macro is no good. Then you've lost it. What age were you the first time? What age were you the first time you found yourself under the influence?
Probably like 17 with marijuana, and cigarettes at like age 11, 10. You know, I tried some nicotine.
Love that nicotine. What celebrity's overdose death has had the most profound effect on you?
Heath Ledger. I think
Heath.
I was like, shit.
Yes. One of the good ones, I believe, is what I heard. Yeah. I don't know. Young, handsome.
He didn't strike me as someone who was like dealing with all that. So I don't know. I guess I was also little. So,
what is your favorite slang word for cannabis?
Slang word, probably in Spanish. Could be mota, you know? Mota for weed.
Mota? Love.
Mota, you know that one?
Well, no, I do now, and I'll be using it.
Oh, really?
Mota, yes.
Pásala, mota, pásala, like...
See. What drug would you like to deal for a living?
Deal for a living? Pink Coke.
Pink Coke. Yes, that would be the Cherry V special, the pink cocaine.
We call it Tusi. Yeah, in Venezuelan, we call it Tusi. It's Tusi, and so it's like the bougie Coke.
And how do you say the bougie Coke? How do you say pink?
Rosada.
¿Cómo se dice pink cocaine?
Cocaína rosada.
Beautiful.
There you go.
What drug would you absolutely not like to deal under any circumstances?
Crystal meth.
Meth.
Just crack cocaine, maybe like it smells bad.
Yeah. Yes, a good scent. You want to bring good scents into the room.
Yeah.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear Heath Ledger say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Be like, I think he would be like, oh shit, okay.
Yes, indeed. Whew. Goodness,
shit,
Heath, that's all you need to say, Heath.
Yeah, good look. Good eye contact and that.
That's game over. That's game over, Heath. Oh, my goodness. Well, Veronica Osorio, these are your drug users. Ha-ha! Yes, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for doing it. We got a little hot Heath action there. We got some great info. We're going international here on the program. We got some great PSAs coming from Venezuela. What else would you like our listeners to know? Any parting words? I know your Patreon. You got the Cherry on Top podcast on there. Tell people how they can find your Patreon.
So it's patreon.com/cherryland. And the only reason why my podcast is not out in the public, it's because I really TMI hard. So I just feel like it's a safe space and a fair exchange of energy for me to like say so much. It's a little bit of like safety behind the paywall.
Hell yeah.
But I really do think everyone should listen to it. So I split it in 3 parts. I usually say some kind of anecdote about my week, then which also includes my love life, which is, whatever. And
spill that tea.
Yeah. And then, there's tea. I wish I could say names. If I could say names, I know. Then in the middle, I usually do some kind of like small manifestation portion where I'm like, oh, this week I'm focusing on this specific goal and this is what I'm doing to make it happen. And these are the changes I'm seeing. And then there's another part of it that's like, potentially maybe like a theme I've been thinking about, in this case, I'm talking about Japan, Hanoi. I just went through all these countries and the experiences were amazing. So I'm just talking about them. It's kind of poetic. I do sound effects. Like if I'm leaving my apartment in the morning, I'll have like crickets playing in the background. And it's
the soundscapes.
It's like a radio. Yeah. It's like a almost narrative radio show. That's
very fun. Cherryland on Patreon.
Cherryland on Patreon. And then, of course, I have my Star Trek podcast, Treks in the City. The public one is all about Star Trek. What is it? The Next Generation. And then the one behind the paywall on Patreon is DS9 for the Ultra fans.
Yes. A buddy of mine is a huge Star Trek fan and found your podcast. He just randomly asked me one day, do you know Veronica Osorio? Because she's like a comedian or whatever. I was like, I sure do. So he found your Star Trek podcast as just being a fan of Star Trek. I did not turn him on to it. So yeah. So people are enjoying, Trekkies are enjoying the program. And on social media, where do people find you on the socials?
Yeah, so you can find me at Veronica Osorio V. That's Osorio, and then a V again. And yeah, I'm on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can find my link tree somewhere in there.
Hell yeah. I'll throw all this in the show notes for the listeners. Links to all this stuff will be in there. And Veronica, thank you again. It was so wonderful to catch up with you. This was a delightful program. And thank you so much to the listeners. This has been your weekly dose.
Hey America, there's no use of sleeping with your children, with your daughters, with your sons, and with your husband.
Self-Medicated Weekly Dose is hosted and produced by me, Murph Meyer, with support from Pop Culture Collaborative. Our theme song is My Congressman by 15, courtesy of Jeff Ott and Hopeless Records. Original artwork and production design by Diana Kolsky. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the program, you can listen to new episodes of Weekly Dose every Wednesday. Just look for the Murph Meyer is Self-Medicated feed wherever you get your podcasts. While you're at it, subscribe to the Self-Medicated YouTube channel to see new video clips from the show each week. Follow me on Instagram at Murph Meyer. And for some top-shelf harm reduction resources, head over to selfmedicatedpod.com. Also, don't forget, you can call the Weekly Dose podcast anytime to leave me a voicemail message with your thoughts on drugs and the people who use them. Just pick up the phone and dial 443-MK-ULTRA. All right, that's about it for me. I'll see you next week. Love and solidarity. Goodbye. Weekly Dose.
Hey America, there's no use of sleeping with your children, with your daughters, with your sons.